Hello everyone, and let's talk about how red states are using remote work return to office mandates as a political ploy. So we see Republican states overwhelmingly enforcing strict in-office policies recently, and unfortunately they're pretty clearly aligning with the Trump administration's forced return to office mandate. There's very clear lack of evidence for any effectiveness for return to office in improving productivity, including among government officials. That's what the data shows. But we're still seeing overwhelmingly, specifically red states, implementing return to office mandates, which shows pretty clearly that they're playing politics with this really important issue where they should be looking at the data instead. For example, in Nebraska, Governor Jim Pillen mandated return to office for state employees, and we're clearly seeing labor disputes complicating enforcement of the new policy. There's a lot of opposition from union leaders, and that's causing more politicization of work location policies. We're seeing the same in Ohio. Columbus, Ohio, where I live, go Bucks. Unfortunately, our governor, Mike DeWine, ordered full-time return to office for his state employees, which again, the union opposes. In Oklahoma, Governor Kevin Stitt mandated full-time in-office attendance. In Utah, the governor Spencer Cox, he used to be a supporter, full-fledged supporter for return for remote work, so evangelist for remote work. But now he's backtracking. Now that Trump is in office and he's announcing full-time return to office, Trump is. Spencer Cox is not, but he's backing away from his previous support for remote work. And in Wisconsin, GOP lawmakers are pushing for full-time return to office, and the Democratic governor vowed to veto any mandates for return to the office. So pretty clearly seeing that return to office is becoming a political football where it really should not. You really want to look at the data. So for example, there was a study from the University of Pittsburgh by Mark Ma, which looked at Biden's return to office mandate, going from a flexible schedule during the early part of the pandemic to a 60% in-office mandate for all workers. And what the research showed from the study, again by an academic, no stake in the outcome, is that senior employees greatly increased the turnover for senior employees who left at a 26% higher rate than they did prior to the limited 3-day-a-week return to office request mandate. And highly skilled workers saw a 32% rise in turnover. So more experienced workers had a higher rise in turnover. Of course, they're more desirable employees. They can find work elsewhere. Highly skilled employees saw a 32% rise in turnover. And of course, they can find jobs easier. So the public sector at the federal government level struggled with efficiency, continuity, retention, recruitment, and we'll definitely see the same thing at the state level now that this is happening with even worse return to office mandates for 5 days a week. We also have a study from George Washington University and the London School of Economics showing among that remote employees in the public sector, specifically they were looking at police officers, are actually 12% higher in their productivity when they work remotely. So police officers, detectives, when they were doing their stuff that they could do at home, not stuff that they could do on the beat, they were 12% more productive in their activities. They had fewer distractions and reduced inefficiencies, which drove performance gains. And there was no decline in work quality detected. So hybrid model is a great model for balancing productivity and collaboration, where you're spending some time in the office and some time remotely, letting the individual agency determine what works best for their staff. Remote work, so working remotely some of the time, saves money, improves retention, improves productivity. Rigid office mandates that's very political. They prioritize ideology over efficiency. Hybrid work models where the individual officials of the local supervisors of staff make the decisions are the best policies, whereas political posturing risks long-term damage to the public sector workforce, harming the retention and recruitment, harms their productivity, which of course costs us as taxpayers additional money and worsens public service for all of us. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show. Please make sure to subscribe wherever you checked out the show and leave a review. It helps others discover the show and helps us improve the show. And if you have any questions, email me at gleb, Gleb, @disasteravoidanceexperts.com.